So, with no further delay, I would like to introduce our, the speaker of the day today. So, dear parents, a warm greeting to one and all present all over the call here. So, welcome to our webinar on energy health and stress management. Today, we have Dr. Prithviraj Premkumar, who completed his MBBS in 2004 and MS in 2011 and did his training in surgical oncology at Madras Medical College. He's working at Sri Ramachandra Medical College and Research Institute as an assistant professor and a consultant in the surgical oncology department. Welcome, sir. Yeah. He's a
Thank you.
trainer expert. Yeah. He's a trainer expert in energy healing with nearly 20 years of experience. He's a certified trainer for the basic pranic healing with extensive experience. He aims to slowly integrate energy healing and allopathy to make the treatment holistic and complete. This session will explore the fundamental questions about reality and how we can create a healthier, more balanced life. We also discuss healing and how we can change our internal environment to promote wellness. Thank you so much for doing this webinar with us, sir. And over to you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And also thank you to the entire team for actually having us here, organizing this for us. So it's our pleasure to always be here. Thank you.
Yeah. And the parents has also requested to be bilingual since we have so many parents who would actually speak multi languages.
Okay. So I am more comfortable with English, but தமிழ் தெரியும். So பிறந்து வளர்ந்ததெல்லாம் இங்க தான். So நடுவில் ஏதாவது கேட்கணும்னா it's not a monologue, it's not a lecture. So I would request all of you to participate. That's one request I would have. And also if I can have a few cams on video, it'll be nice just to see the expressions. So it's a request. Again, not mandatory. Otherwise, it's like I'm talking to myself. So yeah, can I request at least a few of you to come on video if possible? And before we start, I'd like to know how many of you here have a background of pranic healing. Of course, I can see one or two of my friends who are here, colleagues, friends over very, very long time who are here. But apart from that, anybody else who knows something about pranic healing, who knows something about any energy healing, just not pranic healing, just to have an idea about the group that we're going to be interacting with. Raise of hand, chat, anything works. If you don't want to.
So,
So
parents, is it possible for you all to turn on your camera if possible? And also, if you wanted to talk something, you can either just unmute yourself and talk, or if you want to just at least chat, if you're not comfortable with, turning on your video and, unmuting yourself to talk, you can just go on and chat and we will be there to assist you.
okay, so we'll see. Hopefully, through the session, some of you ask some questions. It has to be interactive because only then I'll know what you want and what the group wants. Because we're dealing with energy here. So one of the first beginnings of the energy world is the openness to actually start interacting. So if that's not there, then it becomes uh, little more difficult. Okay. I think if somebody wants to unmute, I don't know if you can directly unmute. At least you can raise your hands, and we should be able to unmute you, or the host can help you with that.
Yeah, just
Or maybe you can give them permission to
yeah,
unmute
yeah,
if
yeah, yeah. We'll make sure to do that. Yeah, we have actually Mrs. Nagalata who actually wanted to speak to us, it seems.
Aglata, have
Yeah.
something to share? You still, yeah.
Yeah, not able to we switch on the camera because the host is holding the camera to the switched off point.
Okay. I think that you should be able to turn on your webcams now.
Yeah.
And also unmute if you want. Should be good. Perfect. Thanks, Naglata.
Thank you.
Shall we start then? So let's start. We have about 40-45 minutes where we will actually dive into what energy is, what energy healing is. Many of us, we belong to a school called the Pranic Healing School. So we'll actually talk more about what pranic healing is, how it's helped many of us. Over Naglata here has been in the school for about 25 years. I've been in the school since 2003. So we've almost had about 2.5 decades of experience, and there are a few others who are there. So we'll actually see what energy healing is and how it works. And also, like I was introduced, I'm also a surgeon. So I work in the cancer department and I love doing surgery. So it's almost like two varied or parallel fields, which most people think are not, they cannot integrate the two, but that's the beauty of pranic healing, no? To try and integrate the whole thing. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's start. Like we said, we're going to deal with energy health, stress management. I'm going to go on and off with this screen sharing because otherwise I can't see the cams. So what is pranic healing? We'll come to that in a short bit. But before we start on what is pranic healing, just to give credit, just like in any other formal session, you give credit to whoever came up with the concept. The concept of pranic healing came from this person called Master Choa Koksui, who's our teacher. But he was, the best part about him was very, very practical person, extremely good businessman, chemical engineer, good scientist, did plenty of research, simplified all of the concepts of energy healing, which was actually there before, but it was just not there in a scientific way and in a simplified way. So what Master Chua பண்ணது எல்லாமே எல்லாத்தையும் எடுத்து ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு synthesis மாதிரி பண்ணி he's given it to us in an approach that anybody can use it. And I learned pranic healing when I was 16, 15 and a half, 16 years of age. So 16 வயசுல என்னால ஒரு விஷயம் கத்துட்டு practice பண்ண முடியும்னா I'm pretty sure anybody here can actually practice it. It's not going to be difficult. Okay, so that's just to give intro there. And who uses pranic healing? Basically everybody. Yaar venalum use pannalam. If you're a human being living in this earth, it applies to us. Why can everybody use it? We'll come to that in a little while. Okay, so in all of our, this is the best part about our teacher, in all of our sessions we have something called the intelligent evaluation or the discernment. Basically, if you see all of the great spiritual teachers or great philosophers or great reformists of our time, they asked us to think. They didn't say believe things blindly. So the idea is to think, experiment, draw your own conclusion. நீங்க ஆராய்ந்து பார்த்து உங்களோட முடிவுக்கு நீங்களே வரணும். If you actually say this does not work or this is not correct before trying it, then it's almost like shutting the door and not allowing something to come in. So gentle request to all of you, try to keep an open mind over the next 30 minutes or so. You can argue, you can counter argue, you can question us, perfectly okay. We're not saying you have to listen to everything, but just keep an open mind. We will do 2-3 experiments where I would really request feedback. Without that, it wouldn't really be an experiment. Okay. And another disclaimer before we go into the topic: pranic healing is not meant to replace orthodox medicine, allopathy or Ayurveda, homeopathy, siddha, or any other kind of counseling or any other professional kind of help. It's meant to complement it. So it works as an adjunct so that the therapies are working to make it more complete or make it more holistic. Okay. That's the last disclaimer before we start. And we were talking about people using this one, right? So who can use pranic healing? Why can everybody use pranic healing? And also, what is health? So these are the questions that we'll talk about. So why is it that everybody can use pranic healing? So question to all of us: what is energy? We're talking about energy healing, right? So what is energy? Anybody who would like to, can you unmute? If Are you able to unmute yourselves now? Hopefully yes. Anybody at all who wants to answer on what energy is? Not my friends. Basically, when we talk about energy, when you talk about physics and energy, you talk about kinetic energy, you have mechanical energy, you have sound energy, light energy, chemical energy, you have different things. But ஒரு வகையில பார்த்தா everything that we do is energy. The fact that we can see ourselves on screen, fact that we are talking, the relationship between two people, everything is energy. Just to put it in another way, the world itself is an energy body or an energy being, and நம்ம எல்லாருமே அதுக்குள்ள ஒரு energy beings மாதிரி வாழ்ந்துட்டு இருக்கோம். So we are just energy beings inside a big energy world. Correct? So how does this energy affect us, or does energy really affect us? Think of it this way. எல்லாருமே சில இடத்துக்கு போனா, when we go to some new place or when we go to a really nice place, You go to a hill station, a resort, or a beach, you suddenly feel very, very light. You feel very peaceful. You feel happy. That's because that place has a certain energetic effect on you. But on the contrary, if you go to a very deserted place, ரொம்ப நாள் ஆள் யாரும் இல்லாத ஒரு வீட்டுக்கோ இல்ல ரொம்ப பழைய காலத்து ஒரு இதுக்கோ போனா, or if you go to a place where there's a certain battle or a certain thing that has happened already, a calamity that's happened before, it's almost like you feel there's something pulling you down. If you go to a place where a death has happened recently and people are all sad, or you go into a hospital even just to visit somebody, இல்ல போய் ஏதாவது டெஸ்ட் எடுத்துட்டு வரணும், you go into a hospital, வெளியில வரும்போது it's almost like you're feeling drained, பேட்டரி வந்து கம்மியான மாதிரி இருக்கும். Why is that the case? Now, most of us will not really understand why this is the case, but the fact is every place has an energy, and there's a certain energy interaction that happens between people and certain places and certain situations. So everything finally translates to energy. So which brings us to the next question. What is health? Normally, if you go into the traditional definition, medical setup la பார்த்தா physical body healthy-ஆ இருந்தா, நம்ம ஸ்தூல உடம்பு நல்லா இருந்தா person healthy-ஆ இருக்காங்கன்னு சொல்லிடுவோம். That's the easiest way to look at it. But actual definition of health-னே எடுத்தா, it is said to be a state of physical, mental, emotional, they don't say, but I'd like to add emotional, physical, mental, emotional, social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So that's the actual definition of health. So in the definition, actually, if you start looking at things, physical body is being treated by doctors, surgeons or allopathics or Ayurvedic doctors, homeopathy. In eduthalum, all they're treating is the physical body. What about the mental body? What about the emotional body? What about the social interaction? Now, when you say mental, emotional, social, essentially you're dealing with energy again, in a sense, because all of this again translates into the zone of energy. How? We'll come to that in a short while. Okay, so unless all of this is addressed, we're not going to have complete health. அதனால தான் நிறைய நோய்களுக்கு வந்து டாக்டர்ஸ் கிட்ட போனா we become all right, but it's not completely all right. The symptoms are gone, but திரும்பி திரும்பி அந்த நோய் வருது, because it's not a complete holistic approach that is there. So with looking at what is health, these are some of the problems that most of us as human beings go through. And almost எல்லாருக்குமே இதுல ஏதாவது ஒண்ணு இருக்கலாம், இல்ல பலதும் இருக்கலாம். So if we are not here, we're probably already evolved beings and we're not meant to be sitting here and talking about all this. At least one or two of this is definitely going to be there. Are there solutions for all of this? For health problems, you probably go to a doctor, you can probably go to a physical instructor, a physiotherapist. அவங்க எல்லாருமே உங்களை ட்ரெயின் பண்ணலாம். For relationship problems, you have counselors, you have certain wellness coaches who can help you. Financial problems, business gurus. If you have psychological problem, you have psychologists, you have counselors. Emptiness, you have spiritual gurus who are there. Now you have solutions for all this. What if I told you all of this can be addressed by one system, not as a standalone but as an adjunct? That's where something like pranic healing would come in. Why is that the case is what we're going to deal with. And coming to our favorite part, everybody is stressed. Everybody in the world is now talking about stress. That's the only thing. காலையில எந்திரிக்கும் போதே அப்பா இன்னைக்கு இதெல்லாம் வேலை இருக்கா, ஓகே ஐம் ஸ்ட்ரெஸ்ட். மத்தியானத்துக்குள்ள வேலை முடிக்கலையா, வே ஸ்ட்ரெஸ்ட். Mobile phone low on charge, we're stressed. Somebody is not picking up the call, we're stressed. Our child is not well, we're stressed. It's almost like everything adds to stress. If the maid does not come home to work, stress, because we have to do extra work. Everything adds to stress. Now, normally when we commonly say stress, we call it like it's some external idu nammala vandu idu pannudhu. But stress is also energy, and it's created inside. It is external, yes, it comes from other people, but also it is created inside. So it is possible to get over stress. Stress irukadhu na sollala, but you can get over stress. That's all I'm saying. Okay, now which brings us to the next question. So we're talking about something called pranic healing, yeah. So pranic and healing. So healing is basically healing of the different systems, or healing of the body in the different bodies, if you want to say. But what is prana, or what is pranic healing? Anybody? Again, I'm going to attempt to see if we can get someone to speak. If you can also put it on chat if you want to. So what is prana or what is pranic? Anybody? Because the next part is an experiment. So prana is life, okay? So basically, if you look at prana is breathing, it's related to breathing. Prana is spirit in a sense, okay? Thank you. Prana is meditation, okay? There's no right and wrong answer here because there are different ways in which prana can be used. Now, நம்ம எல்லாருமே இந்தியால இருந்து வர்றதுனால the easiest thing for us all to associate it with is pranayama, which is almost loosely referred to as breathing or breathing techniques. What pranayama essentially does is it brings a certain kind of prana or energy into your body. Now, what is that prana? Like somebody said, it's something like life or it's something like spirit. You could call it a life force or spirit or the life energy which sustains your body. Now, traditional medical teachings will say oxygen is the one that sustains the body. And bodyக்குள்ள ATP molecules generate ஆகுது அங்க இருந்து தான் எனர்ஜி வருது, all that is normal science. But the one that actually keeps your body rolling, keeps your body healthy and in place is prana. Examples. Again, when you, on a dark, rainy, gloomy day, நிறைய பேர் இப்போ if we are from Chennai, if most of us are from Chennai, then you know the last few days have been cloudy and rainy and it's drizzling and all of that. Do you feel like getting out of your bed? Most of us will say no, I want to cover myself up, go back to bed, unless we have a child who has to go to school or we have something else to do. We just want to go back to bed. But on a bright sunny day, we actually get up much earlier and we're much more active. Why is that? Because on a bright sunny day, this prana is actually abundant outside. That's just uh, a practical way to say prana is what influences everything, but that's not the only way. Okay, so let's look at what is prana. So prana, like some of you said, is life force. You can also call it spirit, or it's the one that sustains the body. It's known in different traditions by different names. This is just to show you that prana is not just from the Indian system, but it's there in different countries world over. If you take something like chi in Chinese, that's where Tai Chi comes in. Another, you have the martial arts, which is called Tai Chi. If you go to the Japanese version, Aikido, also that's where it comes in. Also, there's another energy healing system called Reiki, which also uses prana. So that's where you have Ki as Japanese. And then if some of you know the Lord's Prayer, then you know what mana is referring to. Lord, give us this day our daily mana or daily bread. That's mana in a sense. Physical bread is physical, but mana would mean prana or energy to sustain the body. So even the Lord's Prayer has reference to that. Okay. So what is this prana? This prana is the one that actually sustains your body. Now, what do I mean by sustain? இப்போ யாராவது நம்ம வீட்டுக்கு வந்து தேவையில்லாத விஷயம் பேசிட்டே இருக்காங்க, இல்ல நம்மள படுத்திட்டே இருக்காங்கன்னா என்ன சொல்லுவோம்? இவன் வந்தாலே பிராணம் போச்சுடா அப்படின்னு. இல்ல இவங்க வந்தாலே பிராணத்தை வாங்குறாங்க. Why do we say that? Basically, you feel drained when some people come, some people interact with you. It's because they're actually drawing out or draining your energy reserve in a way, and you do feel tired after that. Or when somebody is actually dead and gone, you say இந்த உடம்புல இருந்து பிராணம் போயிடுச்சு, which means the body is no longer alive because prana was the one that sustained it. Now, in pranic healing, we actually use this prana to heal the body. And what are the sources of prana? There are many sources of prana. Commonly, you have the air prana, the sun prana, and certain other pranas that probably will be taught in the class. But let's just say air prana, sun prana for now. So basically, you have nature which has prana, and in pranic healing, we use this prana to heal the body. Now, can you heal yourself? Answer is yes. Can you heal other people? Answer is also yes. And all of this, by the way, I didn't touch upon this. Pranic healing is meant to be a no touch, no drug therapy. So we don't touch the person. In fact, you don't even need the person to be sitting in front of you. They can be sitting somewhere else in some other part of the world or in some other city, and it still works. How we will touch upon it in a short while. So in the prana பேசுறோம் இல்லையா, this life force of prana, how does it come into your body? Now this is the part that gets a little tricky because traditionally these are things that are not accepted, these are things that are not in books. Indians per se find it a little easy because we have yoga, we have different asanas, and then randomly we talk about chakras, so it becomes a little easier for us. But when I'm talking to, say, a person from a different country, it becomes a little more tricky. For us, it should be fairly easy. This prana enters the body through the different chakras and actually circulates in the body through something we call the nadis and the meridians. So, traditional yoga, again, we talk about 7 chakras. நிறைய கூகுள் இதுலலாமோ ஃபோட்டோலாம் பார்த்துருப்போம். பட் in the pranic healing school, we talk about 11 chakras. And what are these chakras? What do they do? We'll just try and touch upon one or two of them. Say, for example, do these chakras have an impact on the body? The answer is yes. Do they influence the health of the body? The answer is also yes. Now, this is something called the energetic anatomy. We have a physical body, but we also have something called the energy body. And in the energy body, Lana, we have these chakras sitting in. Now, just to give us an idea, you have something called the throat chakra here, which in the Sanskrit terminology will be called the Visuddhi. So the Visuddhi chakra. This particular chakra is supposed to control your thyroid, your parathyroid glands, also supposed to control your windpipe, your voice box, and all of that. Now, say for example, somebody is very stressed or they get angry and they start shouting at other people. What will happen to the throat chakra? The energy of the throat chakra will change, which will eventually manifest as a problem in the throat chakra. All of this over a period of time. இதெல்லாம் சொல்லும் போது common question will be, I know people in my office who are shouting, or my spouse, husband, wife யாரோ திட்டிட்டே இருக்காங்க, பட் அவங்களுக்குலாம் எதுவுமே ஆக மாட்டேங்குது. Energy system is all very, very slow. Anything that manifests in the physical body has to pass through the energy body to come in. So when you create certain energies inside your chakras, those chakras will eventually have an effect on the body. Now, why am I talking about this? Correlate stress, correlate what I'm telling you now. If you're stressed and you say a particular thing about your child, or you think a particular thing about your child, will it have an impact? Now, this is where we're coming to what's going to be practically applicable for us. All of us have children. I have a 6-year-old child going to be 7. So we have difficulties with them also. So if there's a particularly taxing situation at home, or வீட்ல ஏதாவது ஒரு stressful situation, ஒரு கஷ்டம் இருக்கு, and you actually think something not so nice about them, it will have an impact on some of their chakras, on their energy body, which will eventually affect them. Not immediately, long term. They all have an effect. So what do we do in pranic healing? We are taught to clean the energy system, basically to clean the energy of the different chakras, and then you project in fresh prana into the system so that the body can actually heal itself much, much faster. So all of this is quite abstract, yeah. Now, the thing with all of this is, how do we know all of this is true? There are certain technologies by which you can photograph your aura and do all of that. Some accept it as very scientific, some say it's not truly scientific. But all that being said, the mind only understands, or the mind only perceives certain things, and what the mind perceives is what the body can feel or the eyes can see. What the mind does not know, the eyes cannot perceive, the eyes cannot see. It's almost like oxygen பத்தி எல்லாருமே படிக்கிறோம், DNA molecule பத்தி எல்லாருமே படிக்கிறோம், but have we really seen it? Have we really seen an oxygen molecule? Have we really seen the DNA? It's been written down in textbooks and we believe it's all true. But with the energy thing, what we can do is we can experiment practically to see how it works. And then you can make your own conclusion as to say, is this energy real? Is this energy actually true? Does it really work? Does it not work? So we're going to do at least 2 different experiments, for which I would request all of you to participate and at least type on the chat as to what you're feeling, if I can't see you on video. Okay, so the first experiment, I'd request you to lift your 2 hands, press the center of your palm. Think of this like a magic show. எல்லாருமே சின்னல magic show போயிருப்போம் இல்லையா? I'm pretty sure at least some magic show in a birthday party, if not a big magic show. So think of it like that. So let's just experiment for the fun of it. So press the center of your palm, both your palms, press the tips of your fingers, and then let's keep your 2 hands facing each other. Now camera kaha I'm putting it a little up, comfortable ana position la vechikalam. Your 2 hands about 2 to 3 inches away, facing each other. Preferably keep your tongue connected to your palate. நாக்க மேல் எண்ணத்தோட இணைச்சு வச்சுக்கோங்க. to the roof of the mouth. Okay, hands facing each other, armpits slightly open, and then just inhale and exhale slowly, normally, and happily. If possible, smile. If you're not on camera, I can't see you, so requesting you to smile. Why smile? I can't tell you, but it works. So just enjoy the process. Now concentrate on the center of the palm and your fingertips. Just be aware or concentrate on the center of your palm, your fingertips. Inhale and exhale slowly. We're going to do this for 2 minutes. So கை வலிக்குதுன்னா கம்ஃபர்டபுளான பொசிஷன் வச்சுக்கோங்க. Okay. Now slowly what we're going to do is move one hand away and closer. One hand, move it out and bring it closer like you're expanding and contracting something. Very, very slowly, simultaneously, concentrate on the center of your palm and your fingertips. We'll wait for another minute. Continue moving your hands. Now, the next part is where all of you have to interact. You have to tell me, is there something you feel between your palms? If yes, you can tell me. If no, you can still type in and say no. It's not mandatory, obligatory that you all feel something, but if some of you do feel something, it'll be nice to get feedback. And also, if you do feel something, please put it on chat as to what you feel. I'm trying not to prompt you, but if you're not putting it, then I'll probably give you a few options to choose from. Okay, another few more seconds. My non-moving hand felt some tingling on the two fingers, ring and middle. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, it's working. Thank you. And you can also elaborate on what you feel. A few questions. Do you feel something warm between your palms? Some of you, not all of you. If yes, then at least a yes on chat if it's there. Some of you, like Vimal was saying, could feel some tingling sensation in your hands. It's almost like when மரத்து கை மரத்து போன ஒரு feeling இருக்கும் இல்லையா? So that kind of a feeling was sometimes there for some of us. If that's the case, yes. So somebody else also felt. Now some of you can feel something whirling or moving between your palms. ஏதோ உள்ள ஒரு காத்து மாதிரி சுத்திட்டு இருக்க மாதிரி. So if that is there, yes. So good. So at least four. 5. Okay. Some of you actually felt something like a magnet. That's a good point. I missed that. So some of you actually feel like there's a magnet and there's a whirling sensation. Fantastic. Thank you. Anyone else who has a different sensation? Some of you can find it cold. Some can feel it in the center of your palm. Some can feel it better in the fingers. Some in the left hand. Some in the right hand. All of that's okay. Now, essentially, what some of us felt or many of us felt is energy or prana that is circulating between your palms. So what we're trying to say is prana is not an abstract thing that you can't conceptualize. In fact, when we do a workshop, when we do actual live workshop, and when we do a class, we are taught to see prana, to feel prana, and to also do certain other experiments with it. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is, instead of thinking of it as an abstract thing, we're thinking of prana as something that you can feel, that you can touch, which can be used to other people to heal. Now, how does pranic healing work? We're just going to come to that in a short while. Before that, next experiment. We spoke about the different chakras in the body. So these chakras actually control our vital organs. நம்ம உள் உறுப்புகளை எல்லாமே கண்ட்ரோல் பண்றது இந்த சக்ராஸ் தான். So the chakras are part of the energy system which control the physical body or control the organs in the physical body. So in the chakras ஒழுங்கா வேலை செய்யலைன்னா the internal organs eventually don't function properly. over a period of time, this will manifest as a physical disease or a physical ailment or a psychological ailment or an emotional ailment. So I'm just expanding the concept now. So instead of saying there's just a physical ailment, if a person can't think properly, if a person can't emote properly, then also there could be a potential imbalance in the chakras. Now, we're not saying that is a problem. All we're saying is it can be corrected. So therapy is good, counseling is good, medicines are good, surgery is good. But when you integrate something like this and you actually correct the energy system and correct the balance of the chakras, the healing is going to be much, much faster. Or in some cases where healing is really, really slow or it is not possible, especially in certain conditions medically, you can potentially treat them, potentially get it into a completely normal state. Okay, so which brings us to the next part. So we spoke about our thoughts and emotions having an effect on our chakras. Whatever you think, whatever you say, in fact, whatever you do has an effect on your chakras. So let's do another small experiment to see how this works. Okay, this may not work, so let's just give it a shot. If it works, fantastic. So I'm going to again request you to keep your tongue connected to the palate, and your right hand and left hand, just move it up and down like this. I'm putting it up for the sake of the camera, but you could do it on your lap. Just move it up and down. If you observe, it's empty. It's almost like there's nothing in it. Okay. Now look at your right hand. Right hand. Just look at it and verbally and mentally say happy. So you can verbalize it, look at it, and feel the happiness and say happy. Let's say it 5 times. Okay. This is something you should really, really try. This one experiment, if you experience it, will have a life changing impact. Okay, so let's take the left hand now, your other hand, whichever hand you used. Let's take the other hand, look at it, and say anger. Again, verbalize 5 times. You don't have to particularly feel angry, but at least look at the hand and verbalize, say anger, anger, anger 5 times. Now, if you've done it, lift your hands up and down again. Very slowly, try moving them up and down. And observe, is there a difference? Can you feel a difference between the two hands? Does one feel heavy? Does one feel warmer? Does one feel nicer, pleasanter? Is there a difference? If yes, put it on chat if there is a difference. And if you're done with the experiment, just rub your two hands together, but also type on chat to say, is there a difference? Same pressure on the right hand, no pressure on the left hand. Right hand lightweight, left hand is heavy, lighter on the right hand, feel heavy. Thank you. So at least some of us felt there is a difference between the two hands. And like some of you are saying, left hand feels very heavy and the right hand feels lighter. If some of you are very sensitive, you may feel the left hand to be warmer or hotter. And in some cases, if you're really, really sensitive, then you might actually feel the pain or some pricking sensation on the left hand, because that's the energy of anger. Now, we didn't even feel anger. We only verbalized it for the sake of an experiment. Now, imagine getting angry with someone. What's the impact we have? Imagine we getting angry or frustrated or irritated with the children at home. What's the impact that we have? And this is an ongoing process, day in, day out. And that's the environment that's creating. And it's not just on the person directly, the environment also is infused with a certain kind of energy. Now, if this is not corrected, long term, we know we have potential problems. One of the reasons I said rub the right and left hand together is the love energy and the anger energy should neutralize each other. So one of the solutions is to project a lot of love, which we will not be addressing in this session for lack of time. There's actually a beautiful, beautiful meditation that could potentially be another session. We're thinking about it. But there's a beautiful meditation called the Twin Hearts meditation, which actually focuses on the center of love in our body, which is the heart chakra, and on the center of divine love, which is the crown chakra. But we're not going into too much of that now. Basically, the heart chakra and the Sahasrara chakra are used for that meditation. The Buddhist tradition, it's called the metta meditation or the meditation on the loving kindness. So it actually creates the loving aspect or the loving kindness aspect in us. So why are we talking about this? Your thoughts, your emotions, every single thought of yours, whether you like it or not, conscious, unconscious, you're frustrated from office, frustrated from work, frustrated from different scenarios, whether you want to create it, you don't want to create it. But if it is created, a thought, an emotion, a word, action, everything has an impact on us, on the people around us, and on the environment, be it home or office. And sometimes we are responsible for what is happening in the situation around us. Invariably எல்லாருமே என்ன சொல்லுவோம், அவங்க அப்படி பண்றாங்க அதனால நான் அப்படி ரியாக்ட் பண்றேன். That is true, but the minute you react, you're adding to it, you're creating more. If you want to look at it another way, if it was not in you, you couldn't have attracted it in the first place. It's a little hard, it feels a little not so nice to hear that, but that is the truth of energy. Like attracts like. அதனால தான் தமிழ்ல சொல்லும் போது ஒரே கூட்டில் ஊர்ன மட்டைகள்னு சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல. ஸோ இஃப் we are in a group and there's a certain kind of energy that is there, it's because we are attracting that. How do we change it? That is using energy healing, that is using pranic healing. So when you work on certain chakras and change certain tendencies in the body, then you potentially have the capacity to change the result, the end result also. Okay, so which we did this, so we spoke about this also. Basically what we're trying to say is all of this has an impact on the aura, and eventually in the long term will catch up. This is why nariya pair, when we are about 30, 40, 50 years, start falling sick, or in some cases 60 years we start falling sick. We're accumulating garbage slowly over many years, and it's part of our aura, and we don't know how to clean it, how to get it out of our system. நம்ம உடம்புல இருந்து ஆக்சுவலா எப்படி எடுக்கணும்னு தெரியல. This is one of the reasons why in the Indian system அடிக்கடி திருஷ்டி சுத்துவாங்க. It was actually a practical way of removing certain negative tendencies or negative thought forms or energies in the aura. But pranic healing is a little more scientific and a more systematic way of doing the whole thing based on particular chakras. Okay, now how does pranic healing work? We'll come to that. A question for many of us, is pranic healing something that's new? I just spoke about it. Drishti is one attribute. If you go to mosques, they use the peacock feather, especially in a dargah, they use a peacock feather to heal. If you go to a church, there's the holy water that's sprinkled. If you go to a temple, you take a dip in the holy water, you take a dip in the pond, if it's clean enough, of course. What do all of this do? Or வேப்பிலை இலைய வச்சு பண்றது, இது எல்லாமே என்ன பண்ணும்? பேசிக்லி இட் இஸ் ஆல் கிளீனிங் ஆர் ஆரா. தே சே நெகட்டிவ் இதை எடுக்கிறோம் அப்படின்னு. Everything that's done is actually cleaning our aura, cleaning the system. So pranic healing is actually not something that's completely new. It's been there in different the Red Indians healing with feathers, absolutely correct. So it's actually part of many traditions, many cultures, just that we didn't have a definite scientific knowledge about what they are exactly doing. And in fact, many healers healed without knowing how they were healing. Healing was miraculously done, but they didn't have a system of healing, which is why it was not passed on from one person to another person. All Master Cho has done is conceptualize the whole thing, made it very scientific and in a systematic way so that everybody can practice. Now, before we finish another 5 minutes or so, and then we'll stop to take questions, there are a few things that I'd like to share. One is, how does pranic healing work, which is the next slide. So pranic healing works on two principles. Very common. It's almost like a blind that is there for many people who don't know this. Your body heals automatically. நம்ம விழுந்து அடிபட்டு நம்மளுக்கு ஏதாவது அடிபட்டுருச்சு, ஃப்ராக்சர் ஆயிடுச்சோ இல்லை இன்ஃபெக்ஷன் ஆயிடுச்சோ, your body has its own tendency to heal. அதுக்குன்னு ஆறக்கூடிய ஒரு தன்மை இருக்கு. This is the capacity, the integral capacity of the body to actually heal itself, make itself whole. It's almost like if somebody falls down, they have an wound which is not very deep. மருந்து போடணும்னே அவசியம் இல்லை. You don't have to go to a doctor, you don't need antibiotics. Your body automatically creates new skin and it heals itself. If somebody has a cold and a cough, 1 week, the body heals itself. That is the normal capacity of the body to heal itself. So that's the first law, the law which is almost forgotten by people, which is the law of self-recovery. The second law, or the second principle, is the principle of life force or prana. So prana that we spoke about all along, that we did the experiment with, the prana that we said that is there outside and we can absorb and use it, this prana acts like a catalyst. Like a catalyst is for a chemical reaction. ஒரு reactionல ஒரு catalyst போட்டா the chemical reaction becomes much faster. So when you add prana to a particular part of the body, the healing of that particular part of the body is much faster. ஒரு example உதாரணத்துக்கு சொல்லணும்னா, if somebody has a fracture, and medically we say a fracture takes about 4 to 6 weeks to heal. As a doctor, I would say healing of a fracture will take about 4 to 6 weeks to heal. But if you apply something like pranic healing, the healing is almost complete within 3 to 4 weeks. Complete. Not talking about 60% over, 70% over. In many cases, in 2 to 3 weeks, it's almost complete. Now, that's what prana can do. So when you increase the pranic energy level on a particular part of the body, the healing is much faster. Now, let's translate it so that it's more practical for us in this particular scenario. If somebody has a difficulty with a particular subject, or they have a difficulty with dealing with a particular type of problem in their life, or they have difficulty in reading. Now, there are certain chakras that help with the intelligence of a person. There are certain chakras that help with the understanding of a person. There are certain chakras which control or which regulate the integration of all of these processes in the brain. Now, if you can actually clean those chakras, energize those chakras, make them normal, you're potentially looking at a system that could sort out all of the energetic counterpart, so that when there is certain help that's given in the physical part, either as counseling or therapy or any other accelerated way of assisted learning that's given, the process of the integration, the process of the completion of the learning is going to be much faster, much more holistic, much more wholesome. When this is not integrated into the whole thing, it still might work, but it might just take a slightly longer route. In some cases, unfortunately, especially when it's to deal with a physical or a psychological ailment, it really does not work. Because we're missing out on the blueprint. Normally, what is misunderstood or what is not understood even by us as allopathic doctors is we think the physical body is the end all of everything. அது மட்டும்தான் நமக்கு தெரியும், அது மட்டும்தான் நம்ம ட்ரீட் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு. But actually, the energy anatomy is what controls the physical anatomy. So whatever you change in the energy world manifests in the physical world over a period of time. So if you can connect the energy system, you can actually heal the physical system much faster. Okay, so let's see what else. There's probably just a couple of other things, and then we spoke about this. Now, one of the ways, because we're not on cam, we can't really practice this, but let me practically run you through this at least. The correct way of breathing, and this is one of the takeaways that you should take away from the session, if not anything else, is the correct way of breathing. The correct way of yogic breathing or pranic breathing would be to inhale. When you inhale, your tummy has to come out, or your belly has to come out. And when you exhale, your belly has to go in. Think of it like a balloon. When you blow air into a balloon, it has to expand. And when you exhale out, it has to collapse. So when your lungs expand, it pushes your tummy out. When your lungs contract, it pushes the tummy in. Or basically, your abdomen muscles contract, and then the lung also contracts, and the air comes out. So if nothing else, doing this 5 minutes a day, twice a day or thrice a day, will keep the energy levels really high. The only glitch is do it in a clean place. Don't do it after a heavy meal. Okay, so this is the most basic way of teaching somebody how to breathe, but in the workshop we'll probably have other ways of doing it. So what can pranic healing be used for? It can be used for healing relationships, because if you think of it, the energy between two people is also something that can be impacted by your thoughts, by emotions, by your actions. So the relationship between two people is basically energy. So if you work on the energy, if you work on the chakras of the two people, their relationship can be sorted out. Now, the relationship can be between, commonly again, we think of relationship between husband and wife, but it could be relationship between a mother and child, a father and child, between siblings, between a teacher and a child, a parent and a teacher. It could be anything. And then, of course, for the health aspect is what we've been talking about. The prosperity aspect, we're not dealing with too much in the session. We're not going into that. And yes, if you integrate all of this, then you actually are bringing in the spiritual aspect, because spirituality is basically the integration of everything and living a more wholesome, better, holistic, integrated life. So if you do all of this, then the spiritual aspect is directly addressed. And again, a few other things where you can help with. I'm not going into too much of this, but the ideal aura condition or the energy body condition is something like how it should be on the right. But unfortunately, for most of us, leading mundane, normal lives, which is how most of us have to in this practical life, the aura is like this. The question is this: when you go to office and there's a lot of bickering, a lot of fighting, a lot of arguments, stress, project guidelines, timelines to finish, deadlines to finish, எல்லாமே முடிச்சுட்டு வீட்டுக்கு வரும்போது we come back with an aura like this. வீட்டுக்கு வந்த உடனே என்ன பண்ணும்? இந்த குப்பையை அப்படியே எடுத்துட்டு we throw it on the next person, which is invariably your spouse or the child at home. Because ஆஃபீஸ்ல திட்ட முடியாது, திட்டினா நம்ம வேலைக்கு அங்கே பிரச்சனை ஆயிடும். Who is the next person who potentially gets it? People at home. So what if you have a system that actually can clean your aura before coming back home? That's what pranic healing can do. So when you learn the course or when you learn the class and you start applying it, you actually can do a quick 2-minute or a 5-minute healing on yourself or on your spouse before they come or before you come back home. So வீட்டுக்கு வரும்போது it's almost like you've taken energy shower before you come home. The system is already sorted out. So there's no more that friction that happens at home. Now, why are we talking about all this? Because there is a potential system that can help us make our physical lives better, make our intellectual lives better. But if we know all this and we're not going to be applying it, it's almost like ostrich putting its head under the mud. It does not change the reality. It changes, of course, it changes our reality or our perception of reality. Okay. Before we end, just 1 minute to tell a short story of how I came into pranic healing, and also a quick story of how certain people have been healed, just to have an idea of how it works. My father, who was an asthma patient of many, many years, அவருக்கு சின்னதுல இருந்தே asthma இருந்துச்சு. So this was when 1996 or so, when my mother heard about pranic healing. And அவங்க வந்து actually she had tried allopathy, she tried homeopathy, she tried, if I'm not mistaken, Ayurveda also. Everything worked, but everything worked temporarily. So a permanent stop all solution illa. So she was still experimenting, and she heard ஒரு family friend in Chennai who was teaching no touch, no drug therapy. So அவங்கள பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் தொடலனா side effect வர முடியாது. So worst case scenario, let's go try it. She learned it, she liked it. She goes back to my father, explains the concept. 2 நிமிஷத்துல இதுதான் பண்ணா இது சரியாகும் அப்படின்னு எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணும்போது அப்பா வாஸ் லைக் சவுண்ட்ஸ் ஓகே, பட் எனக்கு ஆஸ்மா வரும்போது நீ பண்ணு, வில் திங்க் அபவுட் இட். ஸோ த நெக்ஸ்ட் டைம் ஹி ஆக்சுவலி ஹேட் அன் ஆஸ்மா அட்டாக். He called my mother and said, do the healing now. We'll see if it works. Miraculously, it worked. He was feeling better. And just to give an idea, Appa used an inhaler almost 5-6 times a day, every day, for many, many years. And Amma started healing him. And it worked. And it was not once. She started continuing to heal him for a certain amount of time. None of these things are going to be miraculous. Innik healing panna naalik sari I don't idume na commit panla. It's a slow process. So it might take 4 to 6 weeks to 8 weeks in certain conditions, sometimes a little longer, to see a substantial result. In his case, in about 6 to 7 weeks time or about 8 weeks time, his asthma was almost completely gone. Now, medically, if you ask me as a doctor, I'll say that's not possible at all. It is impossible to cure someone of asthma. Over the next 24-25 years, I can finger count the number of times he's used his inhaler, which is almost a miracle for me, because as a doctor, I cannot believe it. Somebody comes to me with headache and somebody is waving their hands and the headache is gone. They have not touched them. That is a miracle for us. The last story before I end, just to see how the psychological effect is. There was a person, this was a more personal experience, who I did the healing for. And this was when I was 16-17 years old, about 19 odd years back. Somebody came to me with something called anxiety neurosis. They actually came to my mother for healing, and I took up the healing. And anxiety neurosis na ennane theriyadu, because that is when I entered MBBS. I was just, or rather, I was about to enter MBBS. So the integration of all of this into my system, my understanding was easier because the stereotype or the programming of the mind was not there. நிறைய பேருக்கு வந்து we have a program saying அப்பா இதெல்லாம் படிச்சிட்டோம், இதுக்கு மேல there's nothing new to learn. 20-25 years 30 yearsக்கு அப்புறம் நம்மளுக்கு ஒரு புதுசா ஒரு கான்செப்ட் வந்து சொன்னா இதெல்லாம் கரெக்டா இருக்க முடியாது. We don't even want to experiment because we think our mind is full, we've learned, we've grown in life, we've become a big person, we know everything. For me it was easy because everything came in a little early. So this anxiety neurosis patient, basically something like depression but something with a more severe form of depression, he came in with a driver in a car wearing very ஒரு மாதிரி ஒரு சோகமான ஒரு துணியெல்லாம் அப்படிதான் வீட்டுக்கு வந்தார். பார்க்கும் போதே மூஞ்சில வந்து சோகம் தெரியும். I started healing him. In about 2 weeks time he used to start talking to me. He was actually opening up, talking about different things. And I was not a counselor. I was not even trained to counsel. All I knew was chakra, energy, clean this chakra. It should become all right. Finished. That's all I knew. We continued the healing. In about a month's time, he started coming on a bike, wearing coolers, wearing Bluetooth headphones, driving on his own. The most jovial person I've seen, or one of the most jovial persons I've seen till now. That was his original nature. In just about 4 weeks or 5 weeks time, there was a dramatic transformation that happened. Everything, just energy. He was not on medication. He didn't undergo any other counseling, nothing. You just changed the energy system. The physical system started manifesting. Now, if a 17 or a 16-year-old boy could do it, anybody here can do it. I'm not talking as a doctor. Think of me as a 16-year-old boy who is sitting and doing this healing. Now the credentials are more, so you're adding up all those things. But if I could do it, anybody can do it. Okay, that was just a quick story to say how it works. Open for questions. Anybody who wants to add questions, or if you want a more practical way in which you want to be able to apply it, you have questions relating to specific topics.
So participants can just unmute yourself if you have any questions to post, or you can just type on the chat box. So I'll be there to assist you again.
One of the things with a program like this is we join a program like this to take something out of it. One of the mistakes I did was sometimes used to attend a lot of programs for the sake of saying, okay, I attended this program. But invariably, when you attend a program, there should be something you take out of it. Otherwise, it's almost like 1 hour of your time is wasted. I will anyways do this talking to so many people. So I won't say my time is wasted because this is what I love doing apart from doing my medical work. So if there is some utility to your time, then it'll be really nice. So if you want a more practical way of integrating or some questions relating to how you could apply it in your life, please feel free to ask. And also, who can learn pranic healing? Anybody above 15 years of age can learn pranic healing. It's a 2-day workshop, a Saturday and Sunday. Age no limit, just above 15 years. That's all. How do you heal? You heal with your hands. Do you get affected when you heal others? Common questions. No, you don't get affected when you heal others. There's certain precautions you take. You don't get affected. And when you actually heal other people, you actually get benefited because you're helping them get better. So in fact, your life starts getting better and better. Any questions? We have another 5 minutes. I'm going to stay online for another 5 minutes for sure. So, and if you want to extend further, questions are there. I'll stay back.
Any participants who would like to answer? So
When our workshops conducted, it's there almost every weekend happening in Chennai. So we will probably, if you can contact your organizers, they can get in touch. I think Naglata and there's another person, so we can get in touch with them. And will there be more such sessions? Of course, we'll be happy to have more such sessions. The idea, actually, we'd have loved to do the meditation also, but I didn't want to cramp everything into one single session because meditation itself is about 15-20 minute guided meditation. So we didn't want to cramp everything into one. And to explain about what the meditation is will take another 15-20 minutes. So we didn't want to cramp everything into one session. By the way, also when we do the meditation, there's a particular, or because we have 2 3 minutes, how many classes, duration, fee details we'll probably share. Uh, Duration is it's a 2 full day workshop. It starts around 9:30, goes up to 5:30 or 6, actually 6:30. 9 to 6 is the actual duration. So it's 9 to 6, 2 full days. Does it improve concentration? Does it improve diabetes management? Pranic healing basically can be used to treat any ailment, physical or psychological. For chronic ailments, all the more because medically we don't have a definitive treatment for it. It definitely helps. But like I said, if I do healing today, tomorrow the sugar levels are not going to become normal. It is going to take a substantial amount of time, say about 4 6 weeks or 8 weeks, before there is a substantial difference in the sugar levels. Eventually your doctor will start titrating the sugar or the insulin level or the medicines based on how the reports are changing. But over a period of time, with certain other precautions being taken, you could potentially cure something like diabetes, potentially, in most people. And yeah, does it improve concentration? That's the one I was talking about. There's something called super brain yoga that we teach in our school, which is basically a very scientific way of doing the topakarnam that we all do in front of Ganesha, Pulayar or Vinayagar, however you want to call. Or in olden days, it was used as a punishment for hyperactive children. பேசிக்கா கிளாஸ்ல யாராவது பிரச்சனை பண்ணாங்கன்னா என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, வெளியில போய் தோப்புக்கரணம் போடு, இல்ல நின்று 50 வாட்டி தோப்புக்கரணம் போடு. Why did they do that? Because it improved the concentration when done in a particular way with certain hand positions and the mudra. If you do it properly, it increases the energy going to the brain, basically regulates the right and the left brain, balances it out. And actually they did an experiment in the US with many schools involved in this, with EEG recordings, which showed that the alpha waves, delta waves went to a peak, which basically translates into more focus, more concentration. And eventually, the understanding it is increases the intellectual capacity of a person. Online class for pranic healing we don't have, because online class we know we have our limitations. Even with an experiment like this, it was difficult to share. In the pranic healing class, it's going to be almost full on practical session as to how to feel the energy of another person, how to feel your own energy, how to feel the chakras, how do you clean them, how do you energize them. So it's going to be very, very practical. So it is an offline session. There is a shorter version that is there online, but that's only for self. You can't do it for others. You have a contact number, so in case you need further details, you can do. Character building is part of the spiritual aspect, definitely. I think character building is part of human development itself. Moral science, value education is part of the school development itself. But eventually, if you want to put it in a nutshell, spiritual development should translate as character development. That's everything else. Your meditation, whatever else you're doing, is all additional. So the most compact way of saying it is, yes, spiritual development translates into, or spiritual aspect develops in or translates into character development or character building. And the pranic healing school, from the basic pranic healing school to all the other workshops that we do, all talk about character building and character development, how to make yourself a better person. Chennai location, we have classes happening in multiple places actually. So in case you are a bunch of people who want to do a class in a particular location, you have the contact number put up. You can contact and we could organize a class there. But otherwise, it happens in Shenoy Nagar, it happens in Egmore, in Mogapur. There are a few places where it's happening, multiple places. So, or you have a place, or the Dlearners itself wants to organize for a group of you, we'll be more than happy and we'll oblige to come there. So. Any other questions? Even the hosts, if you have any other questions as to what you feel will be more practical for the parents who are out here. Because I understand the parents uh, will be going through certain particularly taxing, stressful situations, especially when it comes to their children and their learning ability. So if there's any other way that I can address it, But the best part I liked about Dlearners was they called it different learning. So and exactly why something like this will be really, really useful, because you're already labeling it different learning, which is shifting the perspective and energy already. So
Yeah, I hope Mrs. Sumati has something to say, I guess.
okay.
Yeah. Sumati ma'am, will you be able to just unmute yourself and talk what actually you wanted to do?
Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Do you want to say something? Or do you want to ask something to our speaker?
இல்ல அது ஒரு சில சமயத்துல எல்லாம் வந்து கோவத்தை கட்டுப்படுத்தவே முடிய மாட்டேங்குது. கேக்கலாம்.
கரெக்ட். ஒன் ஆஃப் த சில நேரம் ஏன் கோவம் கட்டுப்படுத்த முடியலன்னா ஆக்சுவலா அது இட்ஸ் அன் இன்னேட் டெண்டன்சில எல்லாருக்குள்ளேயும் அந்த தன்மை இருக்கு, கோவப்படக்கூடிய தன்மை இருக்கு. அண்ட் வி ஆல் நோ சில ட்ரிகர்ஸ் வந்து ஆக்சுவலா இது பண்ணும். இப்போ எல்லார்கிட்டையும் கோவப்பட மாட்டோம், எல்லா விஷயத்துக்கும் கோவப்பட மாட்டோம். ஆல்மோஸ்ட் நிறைய விஷயத்துல கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ண முடியும், பட் 2-3 பட்டன் நம்மளுக்கு தட்டினா வந்து நம்மளுக்கு தெரியும். அண்ட் இன்வேரியபிளி ஆர் அன்பார்ச்சுனேட்லி சேட்லி ஆர் சில்ட்ரன் நோ தோஸ் பட்டன்ஸ். அண்ட் கரெக்டா அந்த பட்டனை தான் வந்து தட்டுவாங்க. இட்ஸ் ஆல்மோஸ்ட் லைக் இதை மட்டும் பண்ணாத அப்படின்னு நம்ம சொல்லும் போது அதை மட்டும் தான் தட்டுவாங்க. அண்ட் நம்மளுக்கு வந்து கோவம் வந்துடும். That's because there are certain tendencies inside us, certain energies that are inside us. Now, if you can actually, this is, there are 2-3 solutions to this. One is just doing pranic breathing. If you can do pranic breathing for about 5 minutes, your mental emotional state will calm down. நம்மளுக்கு உள்ள ஒரு மன நிம்மதி கிடைக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கும். Your mind will calm down to a slow state where you can think, process and react, or actually respond instead of reacting. So that's one. Second one, using pranic healing, you can clean up certain chakras even when you're angry. And by cleaning up certain chakras, or by removing certain tendencies from chakras, you are removing your tendency to get angry. நம்மளுக்கு அந்த கோவப்படக்கூடிய தன்மையை வந்து நம்ம கம்மிப்படுத்துறோம் அந்த சக்கராவை கிளீன் பண்றதுனால. That's the second one. Third one, meditation on twin hearts. When you do something like the meditation on twin hearts, it makes your heart chakra, or the center of love in your body, much, much bigger compared to the other chakras. And that chakra is able to regulate the other chakras. அதனால தான் sometimes when you see certain people, you say, இவங்களுக்கு வந்து ரொம்ப பெரிய மனசு இருக்கும், this person has a heart of gold, or they have a big heart. That actually means they're a very happy, giving, generous person who has the capacity to help and be generous with others.
இல்ல அது நம்ம அந்த பிராணிக்க மெடிடேஷன் மூலியமா உணரலாம்னு சொல்றீங்கல்ல, அத நம்ம ஒரு 5 நிமிஷத்துக்கு மேல 10 நிமிஷத்துக்கு மேல அந்த சிட்டிங்ஸ்ல உட்கார முடியல.
இட் டேக்ஸ் பிராக்டிஸ் இல்லையா? ஒரு குழந்தை வந்து ஒரு 5 நிமிஷம் ஒரு இடத்துல உட்காருன்னு சொன்னா அவங்களுக்கு உட்கார்றது கஷ்டம் இல்லையா? கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா கிளாஸ்ல உட்கார கத்துக்கிறாங்க. நம்மளுக்கும் அதே தான். நம்ம மைண்ட் வந்து கான்ஸ்டன்டா காலையில எந்திரிச்சதுல இருந்து we produce about 64,000 thoughts a day. கான்ஸ்டன்டா நம்ம மைண்ட் ஆக்டிவா இருந்துட்டே இருக்கு. ஒரே இதுல இருக்க முடியாது, ஃபோக்கஸ் பண்ண முடியாது, ஒரு இடத்துல உட்காரணும்னு தோணாது. நம்ம மெடிடேஷன் இல்ல அமைதின்னு போய் உட்காரும் போதுதான், அப்ப மத்தியானத்துக்கு சமைச்சோமா, இவங்க வந்து இதை எடுத்துட்டு போனாங்களா, இவங்க என் பையன் நல்லா இருக்கானா, அவங்க ஸ்கூல்ல எது நடந்துச்சா, பிரதர் சிஸ்டர் அவங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது இருக்கா, your thought will start going because those thoughts are already part of your body, a part of your aura. So the minute you sit calm, இது எல்லாமே வந்து almost active ஆயிடும். It takes a certain degree of time to practice. You don't have to control it, but you have to train your mind. Just like ஒரே நாள் ஜிம்முக்கு போய் 100 கிலோ தூக்க முடியாது, but you train your body to be able to lift 100 kgs over a period of time. You train your mind also to stay calm. சில பேருக்கு ஒரே செஷன்ல வரும், சில பேருக்கு 10 செஷன்ல வரலாம், சில பேருக்கு ஒரு மாசம் ஆகலாம்.
கரெக்ட் சார். இப்போ வெளியில இருக்கிற பிரச்சனையெல்லாம் வீட்டுக்கு கொண்டு வரும்போது நம்ம அவங்களோட இது கேட்கும் போது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா நம்ம டவுன் ஆயிடுற மாதிரி ஃபீல் ஆகுது. அது நம்ம ஒரு வே ஆஃப்ல போயிட்டு இருப்போம், இதுதான் கரெக்ட் அப்படின்ட்டு. நம்மளுக்கு தாட் எல்லாமே அவங்களுக்கு சொல்லும் போது அவங்களோட ஒரு தாட் கொண்டு வரும்போது அது நம்மளுக்குள்ள புகுந்து ஒரு நெகட்டிவ் ஆயிடுது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா.
கரெக்ட். அது புரியுது. ஸோ மற்றவங்களோட இது பேசிக்கா இந்த சிஸ்டம்லயும் சரி, எந்த சிஸ்டம்லயும் சரி, one of the things that we have to remember is the first person to change is us. And then we also start changing other people by changing us. So எந்த பிரச்சனையிலுமே வந்து ஒருத்தர் மட்டும் பிரச்சனையை உண்டாக்க முடியாது. எய்தர் நம்மளுக்கு 5% அதுல பங்கு இருக்கலாம், இல்ல 10% இருக்கலாம், இல்ல 15% இருக்கலாம். It can be 50-50 or it can be more or less. What I'm trying to say is, நிறைய இதுல வந்து understandable that one person brings a lot of dump. அவங்க வெளியில இருக்க இதெல்லாம் எடுத்துட்டு வந்து நம்ம கிட்ட கொடுக்குறாங்க. நம்ம அமைதியா இருக்கும், காலையில இருந்து நம்ம நிம்மதியா இருக்கிறோம். பட் திடீர்னு அவங்க வீட்டுக்கு வந்தோடனே ஒரே பரபரப்பாயிடும், ஒரே டென்ஷன் ஆயிடும். அதுக்கப்புறம் ஏதாவது வாக்குவாதம் வரும், சண்டை வரும். How can you change it? One is home environmentally, and the energy will be there. That is something you have to work on. That energy is also part of your system. நம்ம உடம்புல அது இல்லைன்னா that other person cannot affect us, will not bring it to us. First thing, in case அவங்க எடுத்துட்டு வந்தாலும் we will not react because it is not there in us. That is the second one. So first one, changing the home environment. How do you change it? By changing the energy of the house. How எல்லாமே இந்த செஷன்ல சொல்ல முடியாது, but it is possible. Second one, changing certain energy aspects in your own chakras so that certain things inside start changing. Third one, as a spouse or as a relative, you can heal that person who's coming into your house every day so that their life also becomes better. Two things there. One is you're trying to make your life better. Second thing, you're helping that person become a better person. So both ways it will translate into your life becoming much better because you're helping another person. ஆனா இது எல்லாமே வந்து ஒரே நாள் இன்னைக்கு நான் வந்து ஓகே ஒரு வாட்டி பண்ணிட்டேன்றதுனால நாளைக்கு எல்லாமே சரியாயிடாது. It is going to take some time. It in some cases, both of us, husband and wife, are pranic healers. We've been in the school for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. We still have our differences because human tendency to have arguments. We still have our own problems. We still have our own disagreements. That includes my wife is a doctor. My wife is a pranic healer also. I'm talking about my own thing. We do have, if she hears this, she'll laugh and say, yes, we do have disagreements. எங்களுக்குள்ளேயும் அப்பப்போ arguments நடக்கும். As 5 days back, 1 week back, we had some disagreement. But how you respond, how you react, how you change it is what defines you. That is where energy work comes in. So if one person is angry, pull back. Can I bless this person? Can I change? Can I do something to help myself and that person? Next day that person comes back, everything is almost back to normal.
இந்த விஷயம் உங்க ரெண்டு பேருக்கும் தெரியும்ன்றதுனால ஓகே ஆர்குமெண்டோட முடிஞ்சிருது. நம்ம அது தெரியாதவங்களுக்கு நம்மளுக்கு ஒரு தெரியும், பார்ட்னருக்கு தெரியல அப்படின் போது அவங்க அதை ஏத்துக்க மாட்டாங்க இல்லையா?
இன்ஃபேக்ட் தெரியாத வரைக்கும் நல்லது. தெரிஞ்சதுனால நீ இதெல்லாம் பண்றியான்றது வரும். நீங்க வேற அவங்களுக்கு தெரியல நம்ம நிம்மதியா இருக்கோம்னா சம்டைம்ஸ் இட் இஸ் பெட்டர். இல்லைன்னா ஓகே இதெல்லாம் தெரியறதுனால இதெல்லாம் பண்றியான்ற ஒரு வாக்குவாதம் வரும். ஸோ both ways you can argue for and against it, but ultimately solution is inside. The solution is how to transform energy. ஏன்னா அதை பண்ணாம otherwise we will go round and round. ஏன்னா some things it's almost like நான் வெயிட் குறையணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம். நான் வெயிட் குறையணும்னு சொல்லிட்டே இருந்தா வெயிட் குறையாது. We have to do something about it. That doing something about it is where healing comes in. And that is working on the different energy systems, working on the chakras. So unless at the practical and apply panni paakalana, we're not going to see the solution. But I know at least 4-5 of us who are here, pranic healers in the group of about 35 odd people who are there. At least 4 of them are pranic healers, including me. We can all vouch for how it has transformed our life. Not in one day, not in 1 month, but over a period of time. There has been a drastic, continuous progress, and the progress is still happening. We still have our problems. We're still working on it. We're not saints. We're not எல்லாத்தையும் அப்படியே எங்க லைஃபும் பயங்கர glorious-ஆ அப்படியே சூப்பராலாம் இல்லை. We have our own potential problems, but we know how to handle it. That's all. We're equipped to handle it.
Yes, sir. So I hope we have actually reached to the end of the session for today. So, yeah. Is there any more questions actually? Finally? Okay then.
Thank you so much. Before you finish, so thank you so much for all of you for actually coming here, and most importantly for the organizers, because when I heard about Dlearners first, it didn't sound like a big thing, but when I was sitting and thinking about it, I was reading a little bit about I went into your website and also trying to see how you were applying all of this, and especially the term Dlearners for the different learning. That one thing actually made a huge transformation the way that I was looking at the whole thing. So really, thank you so much for having us here, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk about something we love.
Yeah, that's actually good to know. And also, we would actually like to thank you first of all, a formal thank you. So thank you so much for sharing your valuable thoughts today and the insights with us, Doctor, basically. And apart from this energy healing and stress management, we also, all the participants here would have actually learned. I don't say learned. Basically, we have been introduced to a concept called pranic healing, which has been existed. Yeah, that is something which is very good to know, and also, the correct way of breathing, which is a take home for today for all of us, basically. Yeah, thank you for that, actually. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would like to thank all our organizers from the Dlearners, also from the Pranic School as well, for conducting this webinar. And also, finally, I would like to thank all the participants and the parents who are here on the call today. Since it's a weekend, this webinar wouldn't have been this successful without you all. And I would like to thank everyone on this call, and happy weekend, actually.
Yeah, happy weekend. A surprising Saturday evening, we're sitting here listening to something like this instead of watching a movie or having fun. So,
yeah. Okay, then. Thank you so much.